Hi, my name is Vidhi and welcome back to my channel. There is something that I learned the very hard way was that you should never compare yourself with someone else because you don't know what their story is or what they are going through. So this happened with me. Like I used to compare myself with other people so much, and I used to tell my mom always that, see, they have this thing and I don't. But there was something more to that. Like I'm a different and a unique person, and so are you. So I would suggest you never compare yourself with anyone. So this was something of my experience that I wanted to share with you guys. So let's get started with today's video. Today's video is about IELTS, and this is my experience of IELTS. So was it tough or was it hard? I'm going to share in today's video. So stay tuned till the end of this video to So, as I discussed in my last video, that my university and my course have been decided. So, my next step to move forward was to give my IELTS exams. The IELTS results was mandatory for anyone entering Canada. So, I was supposed to give my IELTS in the month of April last year, but due to the pandemic and the lockdown that was going on, I could not give it in the month of April, and the date got postponed to a later date. So it not only got postponed to the month of May, but also to June and to July. So I could not see any hope of giving my IELTS that year. So then I had to shift to a tentative option that was Duolingo. So Duolingo test was just an alternative in case IELTS did not happen, because every time the date of the IELTS used to arrive, it used to get postponed to a later date or to the next month. And since my visa application process date was coming nearby and I had to apply for my visas on the particular date, so I had to apply for my Duolingo test instead of the IELTS test. But let me make this one point very clear. Even though I had given my Duolingo test, I had to eventually give my IELTS test because IELTS test is mandatory for any visa application process in Canada. But then here's a catch. Even though you have given IELTS when you were coming from India to Canada, you'll have to give IELTS again here in Canada when you apply for the PR. So this is it. And so then there were no signs of me giving IELTS. So I was suggested to give Duolingo instead. But let me tell you one thing, that Duolingo is nothing in comparison to IELTS. Like even though it's the like an English proficiency test just like IELTS, but it is cannot be compared anyways near to IELTS. This is because IELTS is divided into two sections. One is academic IELTS and second is general IELTS. Academic IELTS is given by those like international students like me who come to Canada on study permit, whereas the general IELTS is given by those who come to Canada on work permit. So the only difference between the academic IELTS and the general IELTS is that general IELTS is a bit tougher than the academic IELTS. Otherwise, they are completely same. They both have 4 sections. The 4 sections are listening, reading, writing, and speaking. These 4 sections are common between the academic IELTS and the general IELTS, whereas Duolingo is just in the basic format. That is why Duolingo cannot be compared to IELTS, and I would say that IELTS is much tougher than Duolingo. I'm not saying that it's tough and that you cannot pass or anything. IELTS is just tough, but if you put in some effort and some dedication, I would say that getting a band 7 out of 9 in IELTS would be very easy, because even I got a band 7 in IELTS. So now let me share my experience of when my IELTS finally happened. That's right, I had to give my IELTS eventually, even though I had given Duolingo. So since my pen and paper based delivered IELTS was getting cancelled every time I got a new date, so I thought of changing my format of IELTS from pen and paper based delivered to computer based delivered IELTS. So once I changed the format of to computer delivered IELTS, I got my date finally confirmed on August 19, 2020, when the pandemic was still going on. So finally, my IELTS took place at this center at Lower Parel, where having the Arogya Setu app downloaded was mandatory. So finally, on the 19th August, this IELTS center at Lower Parel had opened for the very first time to conduct the IELTS exam. And there were very few people at the center, and I was lucky enough to have got in with those very few people. So the first test was the listening, wherein the headphones were provided with the computers, where we had to listen to the audio first, make notes on seeing the questions that were displayed, and we could only fill in the answers later after the audio got over. Before that, we couldn't, and then started the writing. So there were 4 parts of this listening test, and we were given 10 minutes per part, so 40 minutes overall for the listening part, which was then followed by the reading, which there were long paragraphs, really long paragraphs in the reading section, which was divided into 3 parts. And we were given 20 minutes per part and 1 hour to overall for the whole reading section to get over. Plus, one had to be really quick at reading to complete the reading part on time, which was followed by the writing section, which was divided into 2 parts. The first part was when there was a diagram shown and we had to describe the diagram in detail. And the second part was an essay. So if you've read some books or newspapers, it would be really easy to come up with stories on the spot. Because at that time, at the spur of moment, you have to come up with stories on any given topic. And then came the speaking part, which was like I had a break of 2 hours before my speaking test. So in that 2 hours, I went to visit my Masi, who lived nearby. For the speaking test, which was the last test remaining, to be honest, I was really scared and nervous. But when I heard that it was on a one-to-one basis with the invigilator, I was quite relieved. But the questions that I was asked for was like, if I was in these situations, what would I have done? Or if I could do things in a different way in these situations, what would it be? And how would I make things better if I was in that place? So these were the questions that I was asked. And when I came out, the officials there took an interview of me, asking me if I felt safe in this place and if the sanitization of this place was good. Because this was the first time the center had been opened to conduct IELTS. But I must say, the place was really clean and sanitized, and all the students were kept apart from each other, maintaining a 2-meter distance. I also think that most of you might have these questions about whether did I take any training or before giving my IELTS or no. So I would like to answer that questions also, that yes, I did take some training from a special trainer to teach me IELTS, as in to what answers should I write and what answers are expected of me. But I don't think everyone does this training, because I think that people go in with the overconfidence that it's just an English test and that they can do it. But I would say that they are wrong. And to give every IELTS test, I think you should know what answers are expected from you and what kind of answers, with what quality of answers you're supposed to write that. So I would always suggest that if you're going to give your IELTS, always thank you for watching my video. I hope the information I provided in this video about IELTS helped you in some way. And if you still have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also stay tuned for my next video, because I'm working on a completely different topic. And let me know, because I'm even working on some place tours.